Hey YouTube, I'm Roy, a UI designer based in the UK, and today you will learn how to design a website with Figma using auto layout, components and variants. And we're going to continue from our previous video, which is a conference website. As an inspiration, I found this no-code conference, which is Webflow. We're going to create another hero section because it's good to have different variations. We're not going to copy the graphics, but we're going to use the content as an inspiration. We did our different sections. We combine it into one auto layout. We are going to copy this one. So Command D. And here, what we actually want to do, if we go back to the example, we're going to kind of follow this. So we are going to go into this section. We go inside, and in the column, we are going to just hit Command D. But what we want is we want it to stack, and we want everything to fill container. So we just click on both, holding Shift, fill container. And this one, we actually want the whole col to hug contents. And we go to container, we go to section. Okay, so we have to go to each of these texts and we have to say hug contents. The very first thing we want to write here, we just want to write the date, but we're going to have this in the inter font. So let's say we're going to go around 20, we're going to say 20 line height, and the date, let's just have a quick look. So I'm just going to copy that, go back in, and we're just going to copy that directly there. And then we're just going to Command D, we're going to go underneath, and we are going to again use this as inspiration. Go in and copy that. We are going to have another text item, so Command D. We are not going to fill container, we're just going to say hug contents. And I just do Shift A into an auto layout. And what I'm going to do straight away, I'm going to fill it with, let's just say, a dark grey or black. So again, if you don't have the official Tailwind CSS styles, you can just go and select dark black just like that. And I'm going to also go to the text item and I'm going to say we want that to be white. And here we just say register. And the nice thing about Inter is you do hyphen, arrow, it will give you the arrow icon. So let's just bump up the spacing a bit. So let's say 12 on the top and the bottom, and 32 on the left and the right. So we could probably be more generous. Let's say 16 and 16. In order to control the spacing on each of these items, we need to convert these to auto layout, but we're probably only going to do it on heading. So I'm just going to do Shift A. I'm going to get rid of the padding around and just zero out the padding. This is the spacing around, this is the padding. And I'm going to say we want that in the middle, but that's not working. So what we need to do is fill container. And let's see if this would then work in the center. Great. So the spacing on the top and the bottom, let's say 24, 24. Okay, so that's nicely spaced out. And what I've noticed as well is we probably need to make this, well, we can get away with it. So this one here, we are also going to center align that. And this one, we can say, ooh, actually, yeah, we do have to make this into an auto layout because we can control spacing between these two. So Shift A, we get rid of the spacing around and the padding, but on the bottom we are also going to say 24. Probably we can be a bit more generous and say, let's say 40. Okay, there we go. So you can see here the section is quite nice and even. So register, and again sometimes you might want to have two CTAs. So I've just Command D, Shift A. We want to horizontally stack, and we want the spacing to be, let's say, 24. And this one again could be C speakers. But you don't, the general rule is you don't want to have two high contrasting buttons. So here I'm just going to go in and I'm going to say, okay, we actually want that to be, let's get rid of the fill, but we actually want the stroke. There we go. And then we want the fill to be black as well. Okay, great. If you're finding value in this video, please hit the like button. So here you've got a really nice big heading, and we're going to go here. We are just going to duplicate that. And really, if you think about it, it is just the same. Except we want to delete these things. Go back, and I'm just going to go in and copy and paste. But I have to fill container. I just need to remove the spacing below there. Thinking we could probably bring the font down a bit. So let's say -8. Do we do calculations? Nice. Command D. And we can have a variant or different version. We can say, you know what, we're going to have this. We are going to have this dark. Actually, no, we have to go to container, because that is where the color is. And we're going to say we have it dark, but then the actual text, we want that to be white. The next section is a 2-column layout. So again, what we can do, we can look at what we've done already. And a good 2-column layout, I would say, is this one. So Command D. And this one here, we are just going to change this to Inter, and we're going to keep it quite large, and we are going to bring in some text. So rather than copy, I'm going to use Lorem Ipsum. We can be more generous with the line height, so I'm going to say 32. Go back. Okay, so let's just get rid of some of that text. And I'm going to Command D that one, delete this one. And in here, I'm actually going to Command D and let's have a think. So here, I'm going to change one of these to a heading. So I'm going to say semi-bold. I'm going to say, let's go up to 32, or let's say 40. But we want this to stack. Okay, great. But we select both of these and we say fill container. We also want this to hug contents. Okay, so the heading, we can change the order to up. We can just say heading. And now with what we can do is we can increase the gap. But for this certain column, we're going to say hug contents. And we're going to say the gap between the heading and the paragraph is 24. Great. If I go back again, we can see that this is smaller. So we can go to 16. And we can say 24. Now I'm thinking that this is actually, the gap here is quite narrow. So I'm going to make it way bigger. And let's say 100. There we go. And now we just need another 2 more of these. So the way we have to do that though is we have to make this into another auto layout. So Shift A, and I'm going to call this col, and we want that to be vertical. Great. And this one is going to be row. And then I'm just going to Command D this twice. So Command D, Command D. And what we have to do is get rid of the spacing all around and the padding all around. But then the gap between them, let's say 40. Great. There we go. We can actually probably make the gap even more. So let's say 48. You got heading 1, heading 2, heading 3. And let's see. Yep. So here we can just make these out to be more obvious as links. A section where we have a big heading and text. So we can do that as well. We're going to Command D that. And here we're going to say, what is, okay. So what is, and then I'm just going to quickly Command D that one. We make sure it vertically stacks. And again, we need to say hug. These two, we need to fill container and hug. And what we need to do here is, what is ready designer 1 conference? Question mark. That's probably going to go to the next line. Again, here we're going to get the branding in. So again, the font that we've chosen is Zen Dots. And we're going to make this bigger. So let's say 70. Ooh, that is pretty big. Let's say 64. And the line height 64. So what is Ready Designer 1 conference? Now that is actually pretty big. Let's say 48. Bring that to the next line. And let's say 56. Okay, cool. So this one, in order to control the spacing, we just go to Col. Let's have it a bit bigger, say 24. Ooh, that might be too much. 16. This one, we actually make that all caps. And we're going to bring that way down to, let's say, 16. Nice. So here we got a couple of paragraphs and then we have a CTA at the end. I'm going to say this needs to be 24, 32. We're going to delete these ones. We're going to delete that heading. And for the text, we're just going to Command D those a couple of times. Let's say it's 3 times. And what we're going to do for this is we're actually going to copy these ones, but we're actually going to turn these into a component. So here I'm going to say button / default. And this one button / outline. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to shift and select both. I'm going to then say create multiple components and then combine as variants. So now the nice thing is we have a button, and because of the naming convention, we got outline and default. You can see that right here. And I think that is pretty cool. So what we're going to do is we're just going to take that out. We can name this button. And to bring that back, we go to assets, we look for button, and I've created a few I've been playing around, and that is the one. So we just drag it, but we need it to be inside here and then just down. I'm going to duplicate that, go back to layers. So what we now need to do is we now need to put it back into an auto layout. So Shift A, right align, 24. Nice. And then here I'm just going to say we actually need the light version. You just go to your property 1 outline. Whenever we need a button, we just need to go to that column or to that row, and here we can go into assets. We just drag that in. Nice. And then down. That's the powerful thing about components. We are now actually going to reuse this one here. So Command D, and this one, just to remind myself, is Y. So why attend Ready Designer 1 conference? Can't spell conference. I'm just going to go back to layers. And for this one, I'm going to Command D. We're going to select the frame. We're going to call that row. Select both. We're going to say, okay, that's fine. We go to row. We want this to hug contents, the column, the container, the section. Okay, great. So these two, we need to now say fill and hug. And here we say what is. Now, can I remember the question? Or why attend? There we go. So why attend Ready Designer 1? But what we're going to do again, we're going to go for inter. We haven't created any text styles as well. That's another way to make this a lot faster, but we can do that in another video. If you would like me to show you a design system for this, please hit the like button and leave a comment. So uppercase, we're going to say 16, and we're just going to say 24. Okay. So why attend Ready Designer 1 conference? And let's make the gap bigger. Let's say 24. If you're finding value in this video, please hit the like button. We are going to copy this. Command and D. We are going to go here. And we're just going to check this out. So you've got a heading with text. Okay, great. So I'm just going to change the order. I'm going to delete that one. I'm actually going to copy these. And in this column, I'm going to paste. This is going to be one heading. So I'm going to have different tabs starting with base. And this one here is actually going to be an image. So what we're going to do is we're just going to delete all of that. And we're going to have a new frame. And in that column, let's see how this works. So I'm just pasting a frame in. Actually, let's delete that frame. We're going to say fill container. We're going to give this a background just to mimic an image that we're going to put in there. You can just make that slightly lighter gray there. We can actually reuse our button. So if we go to button and we just drag that out. So we're going to delete this one. And we're going to say base. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to detach, because we're going to make this into a tab. So detach, we're going to call that tab. And we're just going to say base. And then here, I'm going to, rather than create another version, I'm going to do variants. So I'm going to do Command Alt K. Now we create a component. We are then going to create a variant, and that variant is going to be called inactive. So this one, we can change it to active. And if you go on the whole thing here, we can change this. We can just say, rather than say property 1, we can say type. Okay, great. So we kind of got a really mini design system going on with tabs and buttons. We just got up here. So I'm going to get my tab and I'm going to bring that over. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to Command D this 3 times. So 1, 2, 3. I'm going to select all of them, Shift A. We want this to be horizontal. And what we want to do is for these 3, we want them to be the inactive version. but we haven't designed the inactive version. So if we go up, and the inactive version, what it is, we are getting rid of the background, and the actual text itself is going to be black. There we go. So again here, that was pretty sweet. So for the tabs, we're going to say, I can rename this frame to tab container, we can say. And let's have a look how they did it. So this is actually the opposite. Yeah, it's white. Okay, so that's fine as well. So again, we can right click the main one and go to main component. We actually want that to be white, so we just go here to white, and then we want the text to be black. Cool. So again, if I go to the tabs, we can select the tab container. We now want the fill to be black. And then I have to make those white. So we go to, this is another quick way. You go right click, go to main component. We actually want the text to be white. So selection colors, and we want it to be white. There we go. Okay. It's a shame we can't quickly switch back to that section. Bit of spacing or padding. So let's say 8. Is that too much? Let's say 4. Very nice and precise. So now we have our tab container. And what we can do, we can, let's see, if we drag it in to here, it went a bit crazy. So what we have to do is we have to put it in the same column. So we go in there, and we want to change the order. We want that to be on the top. And now these two, we're going to have to put this into another auto layout. So Shift A. And then here, we just need to do space between, but we need it to fill container. Going to combine everything into components and variants. I'm just going to get all of these sections. You can see everything is quite disorganized, which I think is fine. And now what we're going to do is we're going to start naming them. Okay, so again, it's quite messy, but here I'm just going to move these out of the way. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to just zoom out and then select all, and then do Shift A. And let's have a spacing between of 100. And what we're going to do now is we are going to go to each one, and we're going to start renaming these sections, because this is important for variants. So I'm just collapsing everything. So here we're just going to name, we're going to name it by doing a slash, and you can say big heading. Naming is down to you. I just had to give them different names because this is how variants will work. We've selected all of them, and if I go here, let's see if this works. No. So what we have to do, we have to select, hold Shift, and click on the last one. So we've selected all. We need to go here and create multiple components, and then we combine as variants. So very similar to what we did on the buttons. So now it's got all the different variants. We can then say type, and I'm going to just rename the frame to sections. So the beautiful thing now, the magic, is we can then start creating a website quite quickly, and different versions. So let's say we want to mimic this. Okay, so first thing I want is the nav, And did we even create a nav? Ooh. So we didn't create a nav component. So let's do that now. So Command OK. The footer we didn't either. So Command OK. And now if I search for nav again, it's showing up. So let me drag that out. And now I want a section. So we drag that out. And the section that we want is, let's have a look. So heading, there we go. So now we found that one. I'll Command D that one. And what do we want after that? We want a big text. Okay, so let's find that. So we want the large text, boom, Command D that. And after that, we want a column with 3 headings. So again, we just go here and we want 2 column 3 headings. Command D that, bring it, Command D that, bring it down. Sometimes my buttons are not registering for some reason. We want a 2 column with a CTA. So let's see. Again, my naming should be better. So 2 column 2. There we go. Command D that. Shift down. And after that, I remember we want the tabs. Great. And then what they have at the end is they have this other CTA section, which we're not going to bother doing. But now we want the footer section. So finally, I'll just look for footer. Bring that down. And we very quickly created a different version of the website. And then again, the magic is you do Shift A, we combine everything, and there we go. Forgot one section, it's a tiny one. So here I'm just going to very quickly Command D that. I'm going to go here and let's see, subheading, there we are. That was one that I forgot to add. Why attend Ready Designer 1 conference? So this is quite a nice structure. You got the CTA, the hero, you got some large text, you got why attend, what is, and you got all the different benefits, and then the footer. If you don't want to miss out on the next video, please subscribe, hit the like button.